What's happening with coal prices. Let's take stock of the global price movement, how the domestic coal prices versus the international are panning out, and what exactly is India's coal consumption like. Joining us right now, the former Secretary at Ministry of Coal, Alok Perti, joins us on the show right now. Alok, good morning. Good to have you on the show. Global prices have surged significantly in the last month, as we understand, because China's coal prices as well hit a record high because of the supply issues. How is it that you're looking at the supply-demand dynamics globally as of now?
First of all, I hope you can hear me clearly. You can hear me, I hope?
I can. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yes, very clearly.
The reason for price hike in the international market, as we see today, is not entirely due to shortages, but there is a policy followed by China, and it has been in the past as well, that whenever the Chinese want to increase or decrease their demand on the import side, the market sees ups and downs. Total market size at one time used to be about 900 million tons. It's a little lower now, maybe about 700. But India importing more than 200 million tons and China of an equal figure does impact the international market. So when we say that you are having shortages, basically let's say that there is a price rise in the international arena. And how is it going to impact the e-auction prices or prices in India? I think that's what you are asking me. In general, if you take it, leave aside e-auction, how it would impact the Indian scene. India imports about 240 million tons. I think it was 247 last in 2019-20, and it is about 212 or 210 in the last financial year. So we are having a basket of about 200 million tons which is being imported. So this basket is roughly into three portions if you make it. One is the coking coal part, which is about 50 to 60 million tons, but I don't think we can do much about it because coking coal is not readily available in this country. Second part is coal being imported by thermal power plants which are at the coast. These thermal power plants are built with a design that could cater to imported coal. So there, if you have to replace or they will be hit by the international prices because the majority of them, rather the major portion of their coal comes from overseas. Coming to the remaining about 120 million tons, which is imported by other power plants as a replacement to the shortages that they see in this country. They will also be impacted because the coal price having risen in a couple of months, right from say $50-60 million to it's, I think Richard Bay today is crossing $110 per ton. So it's almost like 60 to 70% hike in prices. That will impact those power plants which are importing coal as a portion of to make up for the shortages that they locally see. So this is how it would actually impact the power sector. And then I don't know whether the metallurgical sector, that is the sector that deals with steel, production of steel, would be so severely impacted because the coking coal prices have not really changed extremely in that way. It's the thermal coal prices which have zoomed. If the next issue would be basically if you're going to get a lot of coal in India through auction, whether the auction prices will get impacted. Well, I think the auction prices will get impacted, but the impact would be not very high, maybe moderate. The reason why I'm saying moderate is that you see the e-auction price depends on 2 or 3 factors. First factor is whatever the base price kept by Coal India. The second thing is the availability of coal in the open market, or one would call it the grey market, which is either illegally mined or stolen coal. That's quite a big market. That to some extent determines, but that also gets impacted by import or other international prices, because then these traders tend to increase the price of their own. The third issue basically is the international price, because when people go in for the auction, and auctions are of different types today, but basically it's an auction, so one has to compete within the group that is seeking the coal. The other factor that determines the auction price is the location of the plant and the location of the source. Because the further away it is, the less the person wanting the coal, his capacity to pay much more as the base price, auction price becomes less. These are how it determines. But yes, the international prices have always had an impact on the e-auction prices, and it will see a rise. I have no doubt on that. You had asked whether the Coal India, the efforts to make up for the import, whether to what extent it can do, and what has been their practice so far. Well, as I told you, coking coal is something which is not be easy to replace. The second category, which I was saying, is the coal which is used by power plants at the coastal region. Now, these power plants have been designed for using better coal. That is, the imported coal at that time had a much higher GCV, and now if you have to replace that with coal coming out from Coal India, then Coal India has to supply a superior quality of coal, which would demand that you start washing and raising the quality of coal, which I think is not happening to that extent in Coal India today. Coal India did start a process of giving coal as import substitution. There was a scheme last year, but that was essentially for the plants which were importing coal because of shortages against local supplies. Now, that is the area where it can replace, but that quantity is around about 100 million tons. Now, if it is 100 million tons, then it requires at least a huge increase in production. Coal India has been having an average, if you go back for several years, an average growth rate of maybe about 5 to 6%. 5 to 6% growth rate will not give you so much of coal.
Right.
You need
Mr.
a growth
Perti, if I
rate
can
of
just...
about maybe 15%. So...
I wanted to fit in a couple of other questions, in the sense that given what you're saying, and with the shortage in global coal, how successful do you think Coal India has been in replacing imports? And, going forward as well, domestically, how do you see business really picking up on both sides? So how this will also impact Coal India going forward?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear you. I didn't get you.
Yeah, sure. First of all, how successful do you feel Coal India has been in replacing imports? And secondly, what is the impact you see on India's coal demand going forward?
Well, yes. Basically, when you are looking at the coal demand, I would divide it into two. One is the metallurgical coal. When you're looking at, basically, when we talk of demand, we basically are looking at the thermal coal side. That is to see how are we going to expand our coal-based power generation. And that would really give an idea as to what is going to be the demand in the coming years. Well, there is a lot of pressure on stoppage or a reduction in use of coal as a fuel for generation of power. At present, there doesn't seem to be any scope for reducing immediately the use of coal. And many of the analysis that have been done, even by the people like the International Energy Agency and others who have tried to fix the dates for zero carbon emission and things, do agree that in developing nations, it's not going to be easy to suddenly curtail use of thermal coal. So thermal coal till maybe to 2040 or maybe even 2045 will continue to increase in finite terms, but not in kind of percentages. Like if the total installed power capacity, electricity capacity is say 600 gigawatts, today thermal coal is about 202. It will maybe go up to about 260 or 270. That would mean less than 50%. Today it's more than, it's about 53, 54%. And so there will be a reduction in percentages, but in finite terms, there will still be an increase in the installation of thermal power plants. But this will again start slowing down after some time. This will determine basically the demand for coal. If we say that most of it could be locally available, well, yes, the Coal India has a target of producing 1 billion tons of coal. It was 2020, then 22, but maybe the dates shift. But the point is that 1 billion tons will be too excessive to even look at the 260, 270 gigawatt installation. At best, it could go to 800, 850 million tons.
Right.
So they.
And as private players are kickstarting their coal mining, Mr. Perti, do you see prices remaining soft?
This is regarding the private sector getting into coal mining. This is the issue. I think you are asking whether how it will impact the prices of coal in India. Well, at present, the coal pricing done by Coal India, you've got two sections. One is the auction price, the other is the notified price under which they supply under fuel supply agreements. The rationale, or you could say, if you look at the pricing by Coal India, which is done for notified price, it's pretty irrational. If you look at the international prices, what one notices is that by increasing 1% of say the calorific value, there is almost a 3% increase in price. But this doesn't happen with the pricing in this thing. So auction prices tend to go at least towards the market-driven forces. They determine that. But let us see what happens with the private sector coming in. When the private sector comes in, there are three issues that need to be seen. One is that the private producer of coal, what is he going to do? Is he going to come out in the market and sell his coal? Or is he going to pass on some coal to a plant of his own? In fact, there are cases of people who have bought these mines, some of them they're their own plants, whether it's metals or whether it's power or whether it's aluminium or whatever other where the power where the coal is used for power generation or for metallurgical purposes. Where they are doing that, they will see how it works. Suppose it's cheaper to use your own coal after paying the extra royalty that government has imposed under the rules, then they'll use much of it for themselves and come out with a very small quantity in the open market. If it is somebody selling the entire quantity produced in the open market. Now, of course, government is also allowed that those people who have already got captive power plants can send part of their coal in the open market. The quantity of coal which will be available in the open market year after year will actually determine the impact it will have on the Coal India prices. Suppose Coal India is producing 800 million tons and the private market is producing maybe 100, 150 million tons. Then one will look at various factors, convenience of getting, the pricing, the distances from where you have to pick it up. A lot of factors will determine. But yes, an alternative source of coal for any user, where he is far more confident of getting coal more regularly and of a better quality or a consistent quality, will have an impact on the supplies. Now, if this is what is going to affect Coal India, then Coal India will have to move in to better management, into selling coal of better quality and ensuring cutting prices or whatever if you want to compete. Yes, if the international prices stay high, then Coal India will be very happy because it will get the price it wants. The moment the prices of international prices
Right.
fall,
Right.
then there will be a crisis for them because the private players would also lower their prices accordingly. So what we see, maybe, once the coal starts coming, maybe 2 years, 3 years hence, then one can see a better picture as to what emerges.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for taking time out and giving us a clearer picture as to how things are shaping up on the supply-demand dynamics of coal as well as the outlook for coal demand. On that note, we'll take a very short break. Stay with us for more.